I've started recording. Hi, everybody. Today I have joined with me on Pizazz News is Wayne Felber. Hello, Wayne.
Hey, how are you doing tonight? Or actually, it's afternoon where you're at, isn't it?
It is afternoon. It's 2:24 p.m. in Queensland,
Oh,
Australia.
wow.
And
And
where
I have, looks,
and where are you?
I'm in Florida, so the United States, so we're at like 12:30 a.m.
Oh, that's not too bad, is it?
No, I wish I was in Australia. You're in Australia, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Man, I wish I was there. That's like on my list of dream vacation spots.
It is. It's a great place, and Queensland. I think I've been told it's a bit like Florida. I've been to the States, but I didn't go to Florida. Um, Thank you so
Yeah.
much because, as you know, I asked Sharon, who's a friend of mine for many years, if he could help me out because the comedian that I was having on tonight, Laz Rivero, um, he he had an unfortunate event happen, and actually it was a death, a cancer death.
Right.
Someone that
I'm
close to
sorry
him.
for that.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was really I was sad to hear it, but also I didn't know. It was like, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, look, I will try and see who else is around. It's quarantine time; people should be around, and no one's out boogieing on the weekend. Um, well, I don't know, maybe they are, and I'm just not.
Yeah.
And Sean said, give Wayne a go. He is a comedian, and I thought, oh, that'd be great. You are actually a stand-up comedian too.
Yeah, I've been doing stand up for 16 years now. Took a little time off in between, had a couple of health issues, but yeah, I've been going at it. February of this year, I hit 16 years doing stand up. I do stand up full time pretty much. Right now, it's been a little slow because of the whole COVID thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, generally, I'm out on the road doing a lot of comedy. My wife and I just started a nonprofit recently called Team Felber, and our motto is changing lives one laugh at a time. Because I am a two-time cancer survivor. I've survived a heart attack. I'm very close to overcoming diabetes. I've lost close to about 250 pounds. So
Oh my
during
God.
a lot of my health issues, yeah, people really stepped up and helped us out financially when I was going through chemo and, having a hard time paying bills. So we decided we've been doing comedy shows for years. I'm almost 10 years cancer free this September. So we've always done shows to help people. And a lot of times I've had people say, well, we'd give you more money if it was a tax write off. So a couple months ago, we decided, and we've been really, you know, trying to figure out when was the right time. We decided to form a nonprofit and a charity, and we help raise money for people in medical crisis so that they can pay their bills while they recover.
Wow, that's
So
fantastic.
yeah, we kind of switched it up a little bit with the COVID issue. We thought, there's a lot of bartenders and service workers that are having a hard time paying their bills. Usually they rely on tips, and they're having a hard time getting unemployment here in the States. So we did a live comedy show where we just broadcasted on Facebook about 3 weeks ago or a month ago. Just three comics and a camera person and the owner of the venue in the room, and we've had about 1,500 views on that. And then for Mother's Day, instead of doing comedy, we wanted something family friendly, so we did music and poetry, and we broadcast that live, and that's had about almost 3,000 hits on it, and we've raised about a little over 1,200 of our $10,000 goal by July 1st, and we've given almost all that money out already to some bartenders. We had a single mom that we helped out who was really struggling because she's out of work. So, we're just all about paying it forward.
That's
But
fantastic.
and today I'm 9 years and how many months? 7 months. Can't. 7 months cancer free, or 8 months, I think. September it'll be 10 years. So, and it was cool because I've always put that every month on Facebook. It's a big thing for me because when I got diagnosed, they said, oh, the type of cancer you have, 1 in 1.5 million people get it. It's very rare and it'll go away, but it'll never 100% go away. It'll always come back every 3 to 5 years. And I, knock on wood, I've been lucky. It hasn't come back.
What kind of cancer was it that you had?
So it's called Hodgkin's lymphocyte predominant. And I tell people it's kind of like when I found out I had cancer, it was like going to McDonald's. And you know how they ask you, do you want to supersize your meal? That's how my cancer was, because usually Hodgkin's is like in the blood. But mine was blood. And they were like, oh, by the way, it's not just going to be in your blood. You're going to have tumors. And so kind of where your seatbelt would lie if you were driving in a car, I had tumors anywhere from a nickel to a quarter size. And they treated it experimentally and said, we're going to treat it like non-Hodgkin's. And in 6 months, we'll do a test every 6 months, and it could take a couple of years to go away. And thank God, 6 months after 6 months of treatment, it was gone. And it hasn't come back. I had thyroid cancer in 2013, which I'm pretty convinced it's the chemicals they put in me to kill the first cancer. But I beat that too. So,
I've heard of
two-time
that.
cancer survivor, and our whole thing was beating cancer one laugh at a time.
I love it.
Now our whole thing now is changing lives one laugh at a time. So we do comedy shows and music shows and use the humor to reach people that are not even just cancer. Because like I said, if you think about it, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, and depression and anxiety are 4 of the biggest killers of people in the world. I've dealt with all those. So we kind of thought, you know what, not just cancer patients, but anybody that's in a medical crisis or physical, emotional, we just want to help people. That's how my wife and I are. So.
And she's really lovely. I got to meet your lovely wife because she's the one that helped set things up for us.
Here.
Hello.
There's my wife.
Thank you.
We have a very tiny condo.
And just to point, that beautiful painting above you, she painted that. She's an artist, isn't she?
She is. Yeah. She is super talented.
It's a cool piece. It's a keyhole. So are you looking through the keyhole out into the world, or are you looking from the world inside?
Yeah,
I love it.
Very, very talented. She's a great painter, an amazing cook, aromatherapist.
I love it.
Learning a lot, keeping me alive.
Oh yeah.
She literally, we met at a comedy show.
Okay.
And
how long ago?
The rest is history, I guess. So let's see. This year, 2005, we met.
15 years ago.
And 15 years ago. November, we'll be married 13 years. And, it's been a journey, but you know what? Like when you do your marriage vows and they say in sickness and health, she's followed that. Because there's times I'm like, all right, just leave me. Go. You don't want to deal with this. But she's been there. And we've been through a lot. And that's why people started calling us Team Felber. So that's why we call our charity Team Felber. Because we're kind of, no matter what happens, we just get through it.
I love hearing, Wayne, it's, what's your wife's name? What's the name of your wife?
All right, you're fading out just a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Don't give up. It's going to come back.
What's your wife's name?
What's that?
What's her name?
Yeah, there you go.
What's her name?
Oh, she is Sharon. And she is amazing. Sharon.
In Australia, we'd call her Shaz.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, did I lose you? Her name is Sharon. Yes.
Yeah. And I just said in Australia, we would call her Shaza or Shaz for short.
Oh,
I love it.
Oh, that's her new nickname. I like that.
Thank you, Sharon. That's a lovely story. I don't really get to hear those sort of stories. I'm I'm doing my master's in law, and family law is something that I'm in, and
Oh, nice.
so people we never get a question about happily married sort of people. It's not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come with the territory. You know what I mean? It's like, well, there is no
Yeah.
family law. If they're happily married, the case is closed. You got no case. There's nothing to. We can't prepare you for it. So it's it's nice that people are still, you know, being married, staying married, and being together in sickness and in health, and not quitting, and that people are able to do that. It's nice.
That's our plan. We're gonna help people. We're gonna grow together. We've decided when we're getting our late 80s and get really old, we're gonna start doing heroin and probably become vigilantes.
Beautiful. Heroin.
Yeah.
I think I smoked heroin once many years ago, and
wow.
I would, and it made me absolutely sick. It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't know. You're going to smoke it, inject it. I guess it can't be worse than the chemo, right?
Well, we figure when we're in our 90s, might as well have fun, but we're gonna wait because we have a lot to do. Yeah, might as well live it up when you get to your 90s.
Live it up. That's it.
I mean, my grandmother's going to be 91 in a few months, and she's still like a spark plug. Yeah, that's great.
She's out there. She's still having. She's not letting it
she
age.
has some memory issues, but she's a little spark plug, man. She's got a lot of energy for a 91-year-old.
Fantastic. So with well, that's something I can go on is with your charity organisation, you're not for profit. So it's called Team Felbers.
Team Felber. It's on Facebook right now. We're working on a website. We literally, this COVID thing kind of slowed us down with some progress, you know, but we're working on it. But we're out there raising money and helping people, and it's been amazing. But yeah, we're on Facebook right now. It's Team Felber, Changing Lives One Laugh at a Time is our page. And I'll send you the link if you want to check it out or post it or whatever. And
I will.
Right now, we just mostly are helping people in kind of Palm Beach County, South Florida, where we're at. Our long-term goal would eventually be to make millions of dollars and help people everywhere. I know we'll get there one day just because we have the drive to do it. And Sharon's convinced we're going to hit the lottery soon. She's very intuitive and keeps having some visions that of us accepting a lottery check. You know, hey, we are truly the type of people that if tomorrow I won $1 billion, I would probably have spent half of it within a day helping people. I know that sounds weird. We would just give it away. I mean, we live in a little tiny condo. We live minimal. And even when we don't have money, we're like, all right, whatever we can do to help people. And it comes back to us. You know, it's even this week we're
helping people.
Yeah, we're blessed.
I think helping people is the most rewarding thing, and it's it's like, and it can take many forms. I mean, it doesn't always have to be like setting up a charity or being a political activist demonstrating with your signs.
Yeah.
It can be things like making this is what I love about comedians. Is that my understanding of a comedian is that they make people laugh. I am just a normal person who kind of would go to a comedy show, kind of with an assumption. I would have an assumption, an expectation that I would be laughing,
Right.
And I don't know, do you think that's a fair and reasonable comment to make?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to a comedy show, you better get laughter. And if they're not making you laugh, they're not doing their job. And, there's different humor for different people. I don't know, what you're into, but generally they should at least have some stuff that makes you laugh. That's why you're a comedian. If you can't make people laugh, there are a lot of guys out there that think they're funny and they're, part-time comedians. We tell them they're kind of like doing it as a hobby. We call them hobbyists. Kind of not to sound snooty, but there's guys that just, hey, I want to go up to an open mic or a comedy club and do 5 minutes to impress my friends. There's guys like myself that when it clicked for me years ago, like, this is what I want to do. I think I wanted to do it since I was a kid. When I was 5, true story, my report card from my teacher, in kindergarten, mind you, 1970, said to my parents, and she wrote a note that said, all Wayne wants to do is daydream and make people laugh. So that's what I've been trying to do ever since. I mean, when I was 8 years old, I wanted to go on Star Search. I wrote a joke, put it on a cassette tape, gave it to my mom and said, get me on Star Search. And of course she wouldn't do it. But, probably I'm going to say, so I saw John Panette. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him down there. Down under? Can I call it that?
John Panette?
Yeah, he heavyset guy, used to do the thing about getting kicked out of the Chinese buffet. I saw him. He made me laugh. I could relate to him because at the time I was about 500 pounds. He was about 500 pounds. And it clicked, and I said, this is what I want to do. So I started when I was 34 doing stand-up and been doing it ever since. And it's fun. It gets me through a lot. I mean, if you have humor, that's why we said beating cancer one laugh at a time. I've always used my humor, even I was talking to my mom a little bit about it tonight. I mean, it's gotten me through a lot. I mean, my sister passed, and the day she passed, I was performing at the Improv in Fort Lauderdale, and the owner said, look, if you don't want to go up, I would understand. And I said, no, this is how I got to deal with it. I got to laugh. I got to bring laughter. And, it doesn't mean we have perfect days. A lot of people think, oh, you're a comedian, you should always be on. I have people say, tell us a joke, or you're not being funny today, or you didn't post on Facebook something funny. I mean, if you watch my Facebook, you'll see I get political or talk about stuff, and they go, oh, no, stick with comedy. That does get frustrating because I want to tell people sometimes, look, I'm a comedian, but I also have a serious side. I have a serious side, I have a spiritual side, but yes, I am a comedian. I try my best to make people laugh.
I think I know what you're saying. It's perhaps, and I was talking with another stand-up earlier before we were talking, and it's as just an audience person, seeing comedian, you kind of do expect laughter, but excuse me one second.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that comedians can't be political, or they can't have a cause, or they can't have bad days, or be crying or depressed, or
Yeah.
It is a thing, I think, because you are in the public eye. A comedian is very like an actor or a singer, but the thing is with comedians that's different to others is if you're calling yourself a comedian or a stand-up, it's like you're not doing that with the purpose of doing it some Shakespeare or I mean, you could do Shakespeare. Yeah. The idea is, yes, you're going to make us laugh, or this is going to be a good night out for us, it's or something, it's but some comedians, I guess they can kind of see it as a therapy for themselves, and they can sort of which I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing what you enjoy doing, but sometimes
right.
Like your sister died and you still went to that venue and performed.
Yeah. We have bad days. I mean, to be honest, there was I don't know, right before the whole COVID thing happened, I remember I was scheduled to do a show one night, and I just told my wife, I was crying that day. I was sad, I was depressed, I was anxious, and I was tired, and I just said, I don't feel like going and doing comedy tonight. I feel like calling and telling them I can't make it. But then she was like, well, first of all, you have to go because you can't cancel this last minute, and you got to go. And you know what? It was the best therapy for me. People didn't know at first that I was sad or anxious or depressed, but it's like a drug. I mean, I've never done cocaine or heroin or any hard drugs, But you get on that stage and you can be depressed, and that sound of laughter is amazing. And that's why I love what we do. I wouldn't want to do any other thing but comedy. And and it helps people. I have some clubs where they'll say, "Hey, don't do jokes about cancer," but then when I do, inevitably every time I do a joke, say about, like, I talk about what I went through with my cancer, my health issues, almost every show, somebody, at least one or two people, come up and go, "I have cancer. My mom has cancer. Somebody I know has cancer. What can I do?" And it's amazing when that happens. So I was just, right before the COVID thing happened, I was on tour. I went on tour with one of the other comics from this area, and we were in Wisconsin. And after the show, I was selling some merchandise, and there was a lady, very quiet, and I thought she was mad at something I said, because before the show, they had a very high stage but no stairs. So being that I have miniature short legs, I have a hard time getting on a stage like that. So I set up a chair to the side of the stage and made my own stairs. And she goes, "Oh, are you one of the comedians?" Because I was testing the mic and making sure it was working okay, and the height was good for me. And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm the sound guy," because I didn't want her to, like, I wanted to surprise her. So I thought she was mad at me. And she came up after the show and waited for everybody to leave. And she came up and she said, I had ended the show talking about going through cancer and our charity, and we sell bracelets and some merchandise to help our charity. And she said, "Did you really have cancer twice? And did you really have a heart attack last year? And did you really have 5 toes amputated?" And went on this whole list. And I said, everything I talked about was true. And she said, "Oh," and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Well, I have stage 4 cancer, and I've only been given a few months to live." She said, "My family brought me here on this vacation." It was a vacation resort, like a really nice resort. And she said, "I didn't want to go to the comedy show, but they all went, and I didn't want to be bored. So she came and she said, 'And you made me laugh about my cancer.'" That's amazing. That's like the highlight of what I do, is somebody who's saying, "Hey, I probably won't be here in 6 months to a year, but you made me laugh about it tonight." And we sat there and we hugged and we cried, and I gave her one of our bracelets, and I said, "Hey, I kind of joked, and I said, I expect to get an email from you if you're still alive in the next few days." And I don't know what happened, but I know for that night, it took her out of her depression and gave her some hope.
Yeah.
So,
and that's well, with what I do with Pizazz News, I kind of did start. I never had an idea of, I'm going to be doing like Zoom interviews or whatever, or it was always going to be, I want to do interviews but written only, and then people just became wanting to get a bit more involved with me, and I could see that, well, people, they kind of want to see the person and hear the person, not just read about it, because not everyone is a reader. And and I started it with spreading the positivity virus, and this was in 2017, so it was before viruses were, and that's what I wanted to do. I kind of, because it's sort of like, we all kind of, it's, if you're a happy person or if you're a positive thinker, that stuff is infectious. Just like, being depressed and sad and unhappy, that stuff is infectious also, and so I see comedians as very specially skilled people who have a perhaps a deeper understanding of that the world does need laughter. And sometimes comedians might forget that. They might think, people just only want me to make them happy or laugh. I guess it's because it is an unusual thing to have as an occupation, like, I make people laugh or whatever. It's, whether it's paid or unpaid or voluntary or whatever, it's the fact that you're eliciting an emotion, a response. It's unusual. But to be able I think, to combine the both, I love that. I do not like it very much when people are comedians and they're just a mouthpiece for all sorts of things, but they're not doing anything. To me, it's a bit like a feminist, a person who says they're a feminist, yet they're not helping women that they're coming across in real life, or they're just saying I'm a feminist, or I care about and being an environmentalist, but they're actually not. They're just they're just voicing their concerns. It's like, well, if you care about it so much, if it is a cause, then there's ways of getting involved. I mean, and you're doing that, which I think is terrific. And
I get that. I mean, because like I said, I have guys that'll say, "Oh,
you get that." I hate it.
Yeah,
I
I do too.
Really,
I mean, I
don't say anything.
have guys that I tell them, don't call yourself a comedian unless you're really a comedian.
I just I make a mental note. He's a loud mouthpiece who's saying that they care about whatever fucking cause it is. Excuse my French, or Australian.
Yeah.
Excuse my Australian. We swear a lot in Australia, so I might. And it's like, well, if you care so much, instead of just putting a post about it, do something.
Right.
It's because otherwise you just come across as you're just complaining, and that's fine. There's no problem with whinging or complaining. I bitch about things, but I'm not. I just think that some comedians are better at it. They're able to be political activists in a form of advocacy that sort of that's seen, that we can see it. Oh, this comedian, cares about a cause, or they're going to a demonstration, or they're writing letters, or they're speaking publicly about something, or starting a community, or
I think we lost your audio for a minute there.
It's all right.
Oh.
So I think that's terrific, and and I think that and I think it's part of you being a professional is when you do meet someone at your event who has cancer or is dying, like that lady you're talking about, that there must be a part of you where you want to cry for them.
Yeah. But
you don't, because you
kind of lost your audio again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Where you're thinking you're going to go and perform. Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, cool.
Okay, we just had a pause there. We had technical issues. That's the thing about Zoom, isn't it? Look, it's even with some of the other things that I've paid for, it's technical stuff. What I might do is, how about we wrap this up then? Wayne?
Sounds good. And I appreciate you having me on. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And if you'll do me a favor, send me a link to your website. I'll post it on my page. I was reading a little bit of your stuff right before I came on. But it's been a pleasure talking to you. This is the first time I've ever done a live thing to Australia.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'll have to come visit you.
Yes, and it's the first time I've done a live with Florida.
That'd be awesome.
Well, you've got your alligators, right?
That's awesome. If you're ever in Florida, we'll hang out. And if I'm ever in Australia, we'll hang out. We'll go to a comedy show. We'll make each other laugh.
All right. That sounds lovely.
All right. Thank you
so much.
Be safe, and thank you for having us
Sharon.
on tonight. I appreciate it.
Bye, Shaza.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.